So welcome to Power40 Scientific Trading, and right now I want to show you the next proof. So many persons talk about proof that their strategy works, but I wonder which of their strategies beats this scientific trading proof I'm showing you right now. Okay, so my previous proof of trading with the scientific trading method, where we find our price sequence and use them to make our projections, showed you how consistent our projections are, accurate. All right. So now this was the very last projection we did, and this was done over 2 weeks. So in the space of another 2 weeks, okay, because the last sample I showed you was done over 2 weeks. All right. So now again, in the space of another 2 weeks, what has happened? This is consistency, right? Okay. So let's begin by analyzing what we have here. So here we had our fib 0 for sell, and here we had fib L, okay, from our fib 0 for sell. So now look at what price did. Price came down, okay, after initially testing and rejecting, not breaking our fib 0 to fib R to fib L, okay. Price did what? Turn up, tested where our fib 0, that's sell fib 0, okay, rejected, did not break it at the first instance, came back down again. Remember, these are our sequence levels, okay. Price returned back again to test where our fib L. So you can see here, all right, after testing our fib L, what happens next? Price bounces up. Price does what? Bounces up, and first attempt it breaks where our fib 0, sell fib 0, telling you that its interest is not where towards the sell continuation. All right, so at this point the sell has ended for the move below our sell fib L. Okay, so price went up, went exactly to retest, because this was the first time price tested, okay, our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. This was the first time price tested it, and price had not tested it until it came back down to do what? Test our sell fib L. All right, rejected it once, rejected it the second time, and then went back, breaking our sell fib 0, and then going again to break our buy fib 0. All right, and then not breaking again, just like it did before here, not breaking our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. So this went to first of all test for the first time our what? Buy fib 0 to fib arrow. You can see here fib arrow. Okay, so now having rejected our fib arrow, price came back and closes below where our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow, which is the average price, showing you that price doesn't have the momentum yet to do a break. And what happens when price loses momentum? Price needs to go and regain momentum from a previous what? Fib level. And that was what happened. Price came down. All right, so this was a rejection that happened when price came down, okay, before the final closing, and bounced up. We have now seen the last level, which is at 3615. All right, so from this moment when price came to test 3615, which marks our sell fib L, let's see whether price returns back to break this. All right, for the next 2 weeks, haven't rejected and left. And this was a news impact, of course, CPI news impact. Haven't rejected and left. This was price now running off. Okay, so technically this is price now running off, finally returning back above our sell fib 0, staying above it. So let's mark our sell fib 0, that is 3625 and 3615. Okay, so these are our two levels to observe. Whenever price comes lower, we are going to check where price got to. Okay, and then our buy fib arrow is at 3643. So these are three key prices to watch for. So now let's do movement to the to the right hand side. Like we said, price moves to the right hand side from left to right. All right. So see here, the lowest price came to 3630. What does that tell you? This is our sell fib. This is not even sell, okay? This does not get to our sell fib 0. You can see that this does not get to our sell fib 0, but let's get exactly where that price is. So here we have exactly where price came to, 3630, and which level is that? So let's look at which fib level is that. All right, so let's look at that. That is our sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. Okay, sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. That's this level here. So showing you 3 levels from the sell levels. We have sell fib 0, we have sell fib L, and we also have sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. Okay, so now we can now notice that that belongs to the sell. So let's see. Next time price returns down, it comes to where sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. First time tested and rejected, it bounced on it. Okay, second time tested and rejected. Remember, anything that has to do with the sell, once price rejects it, it tells you that price is not willing to go towards the sell. First, price has rejected the sell fib L. Price has also gone above the sell fib 0, which means that you are not seeing that price is avoiding the sell sequence, and price must be attracted to the buy sequence. All right, so let's look at here again. Price comes again, retest and rejects, and look at the massive pump upwards. Okay, so now what would you have been doing at the moment you saw price rejected where your sell fib L? You start taking your buy. Okay, you are buying back up to where buy fib arrow. You can see that, right? And then sustaining it for the next sequence, which we have explained in our course. If you take the course, you know how the sequence is graduating. So this is price bouncing off again from our sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. All right, and continuing all the way up. So at this point, you see price has given us massive profit. Now let's see whether price returns back to our sell fib 0 at any point. See, the lowest price came was above our sell fib 0. So if you are holding, you are still in profit. Okay, so 3637. Let's go further. 3638. You see, price is staying above. So remember, what is 3637, 3638? You can note that was our, let's mark where we had our buy fib 0. So buy fib 0 is 3633, which means that 3637, 3638 is our buy fib 0 10 times 5 what arrow. You see where price had rejected before now. So now you see price is now going above our buy sequence. You can see that, right? So price is now going above our buy sequence, telling you that price is getting done with our sell sequence and it's not our buy sequence. And we are now seeing price doing that new respect. Okay, so this is our buy sequence, buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. You see price rejecting it because this was price coming to retest it and rejecting at 3638. Okay, bouncing up again, and let's see that happening. Coming back again to do what? Test and reject 3633. Now you can see rejecting the downside, which is where 3637, 3638, which corresponds with our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow, showing you that price is now staying above what? Our buy sequence. So anytime price comes lower, we want to see where price touched. Okay, so you see this is above, right? So now we have from 3637 to 3642. All right, let's get that clearly again. Where is our buy fib arrow, so that you know the final point where price is bouncing? 3643. All right, so now we know that price is bouncing off all our sequence level. This is 3644, telling that price is bouncing on what? Our buy fib arrow. All right, again 3643. This is price bouncing on where? Our buy fib arrow continuously. Then price dips. Now let's look at the levels of the dip. 41 to where? 37 again. You can see that, right? So price comes to 37 and rejects it, bounces up. Second time again, rejects it, bounces up. So even if you were not, okay, drawing your new fib sequence levels, you can always mark the prices and know how price behaves whenever price comes back there. You can see that. Now price dips finally and comes down to where? 3628. Where is price bouncing at 3628? Remember, we had not mentioned this price, okay? We had only mentioned where 3615 and 3625, okay? So 3625 is our, let's mention that clearly, our sell fib zero. So price comes down back to test our sell fib zero but bounces on it. You can see that. So telling you that the sell fib sequences are avoided. Then coming back up 3628, okay, which will correspond with our, let's look at that, going towards our sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. All right, our sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. So staying above our sell fib 0. And now price goes back up to 3631. Remember, 3631 is above our sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. See how price came down first, tested our sell fib 0, then bounced up. This was the price rejecting. It came back. This was the test, reject, pull back, come back again, test and reject, and then bounced up. All right, so bouncing on where our sell fib 0, rejecting is showing you that even if you were holding your buy from 3615 all the way to 3620, which would have been your buy entry levels, okay, as price rejected our sell fib 0 to fib L, you would have known that you are buying all the way from 3615 to 36 where 20 and holding. So you see price did not come to disturb your entry. It now went back to where our 3630, which is our sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. Okay, this was a rejection showing you that price could not break it. So price is now staying still above our sell sequence levels. Now again, 3631, price bounces up just as it did before. And now let's see what happens next. So the next time price comes down after going up, remember you are holding your buy, where the price come to settle 3636. This is around where rejecting 3633. Okay, and this 3633 is our buy fib 0. You can see that. So price came to retest the buy fib 0, haven't gone above our sell fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. Buy price comes to retest our buy fib 0. So all our sequence levels, key sequence levels, let's count them. Buy fib 0 to buy fib arrow. All right, sell fib 0 to sell fib L. Okay, then also our sell fib 0 to 10 times 5 arrow. All right, so you see the sequence levels, price tests them once and bounces from them. These are the key places price has been testing and bouncing off from. So let's see again, price comes again to test where, again towards retesting 3633, which is our sell fib, our buy fib 0. All right, so now let's mark that from 36, okay, 33 to 36. Let's look at that from 3633 to 3638. Okay, that will be our, again, buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. So look at it here again. Price comes to reject, could not break the buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. So you see the rejection here showing you that our sequence levels are being respected. Now price bounces up. What happens next? Price comes again to retest. This is the retest. Again, staying above our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. Our sequence levels being respected, and then price bounces up. So at this final point of bouncing on our 10 times 5 arrow, when you know how to trade your sequence levels, you know that you are buying because price did not break where our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. You are buying, entering a new position, and this is how the buy takes off. Finally, price has gone far away from our sequence levels, okay? And if you are holding a long trade, you see here all these points, you are so confident, already in profit, Anytime price comes back down, you can see where price stops. It's not near your entry level, still so many pips in profit. Okay, let's look at the total amount of profit that will be made. Price coming down 7.4, price coming to 6.0, still above your entries. All our sequence levels are far below now. So this is price now coming once again to retest our buy fib, where fib arrow, and see price did not get to the fib arrow. You can see that. So price is staying above it. So now from 3643 we have 3648 and 3648. So let's look at that. So this is our buy fib arrow 10 times 5 arrow. That is our next sequence after our buy fib arrow. And look at this news impact here. News impact still did not come to break our sequence levels. Okay, price is staying above our buy sequence levels right now. And let's look at the next attempt. Price comes back again to 3637, which is still our sequence level, because we have our buy fib 0 at where 3633. So you can remember all of the prices to 3637. So price is standing at our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. Then bounces up again. You can see that bounces up again above the sequence level, then comes back down again to test where. Let's look at that 3629 to 3627 above our sell. All right, so our sell is at 3625. So price is rejecting everything that has to do with our sell and comes above again the buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. All right, here is standing on our buy fib 0, so that's 3634. You can see that. All right, so the buy sequence has been very solid. Then this is another attempt. Price comes back down. Let's see, 3637, 3638. So price is rejecting our buy fib 0 10 times 5 arrow. Here price comes back down to test 3632. So rejecting the buy fib 0. You can see this long rejection. Price came to test our buy fib 0 at 3633. All right, and bounces up. Tells you how stable our sequence levels remain in future. You can see that. So what else can be more assuring than knowing how to trade with our scientific trading method, where you find price sequence which are the key levels that price must touch and reject or bounce from, and you use that as your basis for entry again and again and again, as far as one of your major sequence levels has not been broken. It tells you where price should settle. All right, so look at this now. Price comes back down to 3646. Okay, these are days going. Okay, and price is already here settling at our buy fib, where arrow 10 times 5 arrow. You can see that. So price is remaining above the buy and testing all the time. Okay, testing and rejecting. Testing 3643, which is our buy fib arrow. You can see that. Testing and rejecting and bouncing. So telling you that price is staying above. And that was the last pump. You see price bounced up and has continued to stay far above now, rising all the way to 367. You can see that price all the way up to the current price at 364. Let's look at that. Price got to 3648. This is 1000 pips. You can see that from 3643, which is our buy fib arrow, price finally gets to where 3743. So from this point, when price moves complete 1000 pips, you know that you have fulfilled the requirement for your fib sequence once you can get 1000 pips projection accurately with your sequence. So if you did this, you could trade swing strategies successfully, knowing your scientific sequence levels. You could trade accurately. So I remain Francis Bestman, your coach and mentor for Power 40 Scientific Trading School. Welcome.